Nobody tells you this when you are young, but one day your entire financial future will quietly depend on a skill almost nobody teaches anymore. And the terrifying part is, it has nothing to do with intelligence. Not investing. Not business. Not budgeting. Not working harder. The most powerful financial skill in modern life is the ability to pause. Right now, millions of people are making life-changing financial decisions emotionally every single day without even realizing it, and modern systems are designed to make sure they never stop long enough to think clearly. Because the faster people react, the more money companies make. One night, a 29-year-old guy named Ryan accidentally discovered this in the worst possible way. At 1:43 a.m. he was lying in bed scrolling TikTok after a stressful shift at work. Nothing unusual. Just another exhausted American trying to shut his brain off for a while. Then a video appeared. A guy his age standing beside a matte black Porsche saying, "If you still work a normal job in 2026, you already lost." Ryan felt something instantly. Not inspiration. Pressure. Within minutes he was scrolling luxury watches, expensive clothes, business motivation clips, crypto success videos, and apartment tours from people claiming to be financially free before 30. And slowly, without realizing it, his emotional state started changing. His apartment suddenly felt smaller. His car suddenly felt embarrassing. His paycheck suddenly felt pathetic. That is the dangerous part about modern life. People no longer compare themselves occasionally. Now they compare themselves constantly. Every hour. Every scroll. Every notification. And eventually comparison stops feeling like entertainment. It starts feeling like personal failure. At 2:11 a.m. Ryan financed a luxury watch he absolutely could not afford. Not because he needed it. Because emotionally, he needed to feel like he was progressing. That single purchase triggered something terrifying. Over the next 8 months Ryan upgraded almost everything in his life emotionally instead of logically. New apartment. New clothes. Expensive dinners. Luxury gym membership. Designer sneakers. Weekend trips. Bottle service. Financed electronics. And from the outside, his life looked better immediately. People complimented him more. Instagram engagement increased. Women noticed him more. Co-workers treated him differently. Even strangers reacted differently when he walked into places wearing expensive clothes. For the first time in his life, he felt important. But behind the scenes, his financial life was collapsing quietly. Because modern financial destruction rarely looks dramatic anymore. It looks normal. Monthly payments. Subscriptions. Financing. Tiny automatic charges. Invisible debt. Impulse purchases disguised as self-improvement. And eventually Ryan noticed something strange. Even after upgrading everything, the feeling never lasted. The excitement from new purchases disappeared faster every time. The expensive watch excited him for maybe 4 days. The apartment for 2 weeks. The sneakers for one Instagram story. But the payments remained. That is when modern consumer culture becomes dangerous. Because companies are no longer selling products. They are selling emotional relief. Stress relief. Status relief. Insecurity relief. Loneliness relief. Comparison relief. And temporary emotional relief is extremely addictive. Especially when life feels overwhelming. One night Ryan sat inside his expensive apartment staring at his banking app in complete silence. His chest felt tight. His salary was decent. But somehow, he always felt behind financially. That confused him deeply. Then he finally opened every financial app together. Credit cards. Loans. Subscriptions. Financing plans. Auto payments. And for the first time, he saw the truth clearly. His future income already belonged to the past version of himself. Every emotional decision he made months earlier was now attacking his present life simultaneously. That realization changed him completely. Because suddenly he understood something terrifying about modern society. Most people are not poor because they are lazy. They are emotionally overwhelmed. And overwhelmed people make reactive decisions. That is why modern companies fight aggressively for human attention. Because attention controls emotion. And emotion controls spending. Think about how modern life actually works now. Notifications. Flash sales. Limited offers. One-click checkout. Instant financing. Same-day delivery. Infinite scrolling. Targeted algorithms. Everything pushes speed. Buy now. Click now. Decide now. React now. Almost nothing encourages people to slow down emotionally before making decisions. And honestly, that may be the entire business model. One former casino designer once explained something fascinating. The longer somebody pauses before making a decision, the less predictable they become. That sentence applies to almost everything in modern life. Because emotional people are profitable people. A calm person is harder to manipulate. A patient person buys less impulsively. A self-aware person notices emotional triggers faster. That is why modern systems constantly try to keep people emotionally stimulated. Fear. Comparison. Urgency. Validation. Outrage. Excitement. Emotion keeps people reactive. And reactive people spend money. Ryan eventually created one small rule for himself after nearly destroying his finances. He called it the 24-hour rule. If he wanted something emotionally, he waited one full day before buying it. That tiny pause changed everything. The first time he used it, he almost bought expensive sneakers after seeing an influencer online. 24 hours later, he completely forgot about them. Then it happened again. Late-night food delivery. Expensive headphones. Crypto panic buying. Random Amazon purchases. Again and again, the emotional intensity disappeared after time passed. That realization shocked him. Because he finally understood something modern companies never want people to notice. Most impulses are temporary. But the consequences are not. One financial psychologist described it perfectly. People rarely destroy their finances through one catastrophic decision. They destroy them through thousands of emotional micro-decisions. That is modern life. Tiny emotional reactions repeated daily for years. And social media quietly makes everything worse. Because now people do not simply consume products anymore. They consume lifestyles. Every scroll shows somebody richer, happier, more attractive, more successful, more productive. And slowly your brain begins treating normal life like failure. That psychological pressure becomes exhausting over time, especially for younger generations raised entirely inside digital comparison systems. Ryan started noticing something disturbing after stepping back from social media for a while. Most people online did not actually look happy. They looked like performers. Everything felt optimized for perception. Perfect vacations. Perfect apartments. Perfect aesthetics. Perfect relationships. Perfect routines. But real life rarely feels that polished. And many people secretly go broke trying to maintain appearances that do not even make them happy. That is where the pause becomes powerful. Because pausing interrupts emotional momentum. And emotional momentum controls modern spending. One afternoon, Ryan watched a guy at work panic buy crypto during a market spike after seeing viral tweets claiming prices would never be this low again. 3 days later, the market crashed. Then another coworker financed a luxury SUV after a breakup because he wanted to reinvent himself. 6 months later, he regretted it deeply. Then another friend spent thousands on a business course during a motivational phase, and never even opened the videos afterward. Again and again, Ryan noticed the same pattern. Emotion first. Logic later. Modern life trains people to react instantly. But financially successful people often do something very different. They slow down. That sounds simple. But psychologically, it is becoming one of the rarest skills in society. Because almost nobody sits quietly with emotions anymore. People instantly distract themselves. Stress? Open apps. Bored? Scroll. Lonely? Buy something. Anxious? Consume content. Sad? Order food. Modern systems monetize emotional discomfort immediately. And the scary part is, many people no longer even realize they are reacting emotionally. Everything feels normal because the entire culture behaves this way now. Ryan slowly started rebuilding his life differently. Not through extreme discipline. Through awareness. Before buying anything, he asked himself, would I still want this tomorrow if nobody else could see it? That question eliminated almost half his unnecessary spending immediately. Because many purchases were never about the product itself. They were about identity, status, validation, comparison, attention. And once he saw that clearly, the system started losing power over him. That is when he discovered the hidden difference between financially stable people and financially fragile people. Financially fragile people react constantly. Financially stable people pause. They think. Wait. Observe. Delay. Evaluate. Not because they are emotionless. Because they understand emotions change rapidly. One of the wealthiest men Ryan eventually met drove a 7-year-old SUV, wore plain black shirts, and quietly owned multiple companies. During lunch, Ryan finally asked him, what is the most important financial skill? The man answered instantly. The ability to not react emotionally. Not investing. Not business. Not intelligence. Emotional control. Because every major financial mistake usually begins emotionally first. Greed. Fear. Insecurity. Comparison. Loneliness. Validation. Ego. Excitement. That realization changed how Ryan viewed the world permanently. He started noticing entire industries built around emotional manipulation. Luxury marketing. Online gambling. Food delivery apps. Flash sales. Influencer culture. Limited time offers. Trading apps designed like video games. Modern business often profits more from emotional behavior than rational behavior. And maybe the scariest part is how invisible all of this became. Most people think they are making independent decisions. But many decisions are heavily shaped by algorithms studying human psychology constantly. What keeps people scrolling? What triggers insecurity? What creates urgency? What increases spending? The systems already know humans react emotionally faster than logically. That is why slowing down becomes powerful. A pause creates awareness. Awareness interrupts manipulation. An interruption changes outcomes. Years later, Ryan's life looked completely different. Smaller apartment. Lower expenses. Less online validation. Fewer impulse purchases. But something surprising happened. He felt richer emotionally than ever before. Not because he became obsessed with saving money. Because he stopped living in constant reaction mode. His mind felt calmer. His finances stabilized. His decisions improved. And for the first time in years, he stopped feeling controlled by invisible pressure. That is the irony nobody talks about enough. The world constantly teaches people how to make more money. Rarely how to protect themselves emotionally while spending it. But maybe that is the real financial skill modern life quietly forgot. The ability to pause long enough to decide whether your emotions are making the decision for you. Because in a world designed to keep humans reacting constantly, the people who slow down become extremely difficult to manipulate. And that might be more valuable than almost any investment strategy ever created.